If it weren't for chiropractic, this is what I would know about. That one's off now. This is what I would know about childbirth. Did anybody else learn about childbirth from friends or something similar? Worst scene in history, greatest show in history, worst scene in history. Look at how she's sitting. She's got the sheet covering the part that the baby comes out of, which makes it completely more difficult than it needs to be. And she's on her back, and she's got Ross next to her. There's a lot of problems here. But this is what I learned. This is the culture that I grew up in, and I'm sure many of you in this room grew up with that as well if you weren't chiropractic babies with chiropractic families. I only know what I know thanks to Sonia and Nat and Jen and the women in the Floriani family who taught me the things that I know. Or maybe didn't even teach me, maybe just showed me through the way they were living and the way that I could see that their kids were clearly cooler than the other kids around them. Healthier, more vibrant, more salutogenic, right? And so what I really want to start with today is just another spectrum, because I feel it's important that we approach every spectrum that there possibly is today. There is a lot of them, but this one's important because the spectrum of birth care might not be something you've ever considered before. So I want you to just think about how we have this wide open spectrum with 1,000 millions of possibilities. And in this country, 97%, that's not a number, 97% of women are still giving birth in the medicalized end of the spectrum. 97%, let that sink in for a second. They see it as a medical event. They see it as dangerous. They see themselves as incapable, and they see their body as flawed if they are buying into this end of the spectrum. Now, they might not think that consciously, but that's what they are telling themselves, and that's what their doctors are telling them. And these are the doctors and the OBGYNs and the people who really look at birth as a problem that they need to solve right up that end of the spectrum, you know. These are the people who come into our office with serious birth trauma, with palsies and broken clavicles and unnecessary cesarean sections and all of the trauma and PTSD that comes along with that. These are the mothers who have trouble attaching to their babies and the babies that have trouble breastfeeding because they miss that innate connection in the beginning. Have you all seen these people before? Yeah. If we move down the spectrum a little bit, it gets a bit better, right? We move into that kind of faux naturalistic part of the spectrum where women are promised a natural birth. Come into our hospital, come into our birth suite. We'll give you a ball, we'll give you a bath. Oh, you're not allowed to use it. Oh, sorry, you're taking too long. We're going to have to move you out of here now and move you into the other part. And then they get gaslit. They have their baby and they get told at the end, well, you should be happy because you're both here. You're both alive. Is alive good enough? It's not. I'm sick of women getting told this. It's the rage. It makes me so frustrated. Alive is not good enough. It's fuck. We have to unfuck birth. We have to. And to those women, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that the system failed you. But I won't be the one to sit quietly and let that keep happening, and I hope that you'll join me in stepping up and speaking a little bit louder, having a tiny little impact. If we move a little bit further down the system, then we sort of get into the spectrum. Sorry, my voice and my brain, they're both muddled. We get into that kind of naturalistic area. You know, these are the women who write their birth plans. They know what they want. They're going into the hospital, but they are in control and they are willing to fight. They're taking their doula with them, they're taking their mum, they're taking their bag, they're taking their birth plan and they're pinning it on the door. They're using their hypnobirthing techniques and they're doing all of those things. And guess what? In Australia, 37% of those women end up with caesareans they didn't plan. It's a big number. 13% of women that enter hospitals in Australia end up with episiotomies. Most of them weren't even asked for permission. You all know what an episiotomy is? Yeah, I suspect there's a few of you who don't. It's pretty intense. You're cutting with scissors, mind you, the most vulnerable part of a woman's body to make space for a process that is natural and innate and does not need any help. You're cutting it with scissors because you are impatient. Correct, Ash? It blows my mind. This is not just her anatomy in that moment. This is her anatomy for the rest of her life. And this is not just the place she births her baby. This is her sex organ. It's an important part of her. Do you know what happens when a man has a little accident and injures his sex organ? It's a valid question, right, if we're going to compare. When a man has an accident and injures his sex organ, the head of every department in the hospital stops what they're doing. There's a code, they ring a bell, they all get together and they all discuss the best way they can save this. Neurologically, vascularly, all the things. How do we approach this in the best way so that we can preserve life of the most precious part of his body? And do you know what they do to women? The same thing every time. Do you think we all have the same anatomy, the same nerve supply, the same healing capacity? Do you think it's easy to heal from something like that when you're trying to nurse a baby that's pretty pissed off with you because you forgot to connect with it while you were, not forgot, I shouldn't say that, but you were unable to connect with it while you were birthing that baby and the process they had been waiting 9 months to enjoy with you? It's pretty full on. It's not just words.